Hello again, Wayne here. I'm an emotional intelligence development coach. I use a lot of different tools and techniques to help you better understand yourself so you can improve your own well-being. Previously, I discussed my personal meditation practice, a guided meditation I use, and one that can be used to accelerate your own emotional intelligence development. And today we are continuing by discussing another technique I use, so once again you can see what is actually going on inside the brain in real time. I will be using a wearable EEG device made by Muse and the app Mind Monitor to record my brainwave activity during the guided meditation. I didn't do a great job last time showing this to you, so I'm going to go slow so you can see it a little bit closer. Made by Muse, like I said, it has a pod that interacts via Bluetooth with the actual Mind Monitor app. And on the inside, you can see the sensors that are basically on your forehead, as well as detecting your pulse. And then there's also some sensors on the side here, and this goes by your ear on both sides. So what you end up seeing is that a device that can capture both what's happening in the front of the brain as well as what's happening on both the left and the right side of the brain hemisphere. And additionally, if you upgrade to the Mind Lift device, there's another electrode that plugs into here where you can place pretty much anywhere on your head. So if there's any specific area you're trying to focus on, that'd be a great use of that tool. So the first thing I'm going to do is start the video so you can see my actual meditation practice. And you can see up on the screen here, I've got my cell phone showing that it's synchronized with the Mind Monitor app. That's what you're seeing on the screen there. Beta, gamma, alpha, theta, and delta brainwaves. And then, of course, up on the top left, the first graph you're seeing is the gamma TP10, TP9 up top. And that's showing how the gamma activity over time is shifting from the left side of the brain hemisphere to the right side. And this is the same as what happened in my previous meditation practice. However, this is shifting more toward the back of the right hemisphere. And that's what you just saw pop up on the screen on the right hand side there. As I said before, many, not all, but many meditation practices result in more right brain hemisphere activity when properly meditating. And this is because the left brain is primarily associated with logic and critical thinking, while the right brain is primarily associated with imagination and creativity. And when you're doing meditation, in some cases you're imagining certain things going on, which of course is going to activate more of what's happening in the right hemisphere. And as you can see on the graph, the transition is once again very rapid. And today we'll be using a method called sky meditation, or Sudarshan Kriya. And this method was validated in a Yale study, and I will leave the link down below. So let's get started understanding how this method works. First off, we have what you're seeing on the screen now is where I'm starting this 3-stage pranayama. And I will, of course, be explaining my understanding of these techniques. So if anyone disagrees or has a better explanation, please leave a comment down below. Pranayama is a Sanskrit word. Prana refers to vital life force, and yama means to gain control. So practicing this helps you gain control over your life force. At first, this may appear to be 3 stages because we move our hands to 3 different positions. But the reality is, it is called 3 stages because there's 3 different things happening with the breath. And that's the inhalation, the retention, and the exhalation. And during each inhalation and exhalation, we use what is called the victory breath. And you can see here, this is me getting started with the second stage. And the main purpose is to focus on the breathing to reduce thoughts and the thought generating process. The victory breath, or ocean breathing, also helps to build heat in the body. And the retention, and one of the 3 stages of pranayama, only occurs during the first part of the practice. After this, when we go into Bastrika, or bellows breath, we're focusing on inhalation, exhalation only, no retention. And there's a different reason for that I'll talk about here soon. So now we're in the second stage of 3-stage pranayama with the elbows up. And this helps to open up the diaphragm a little more, exposing the middle lobes of the lungs. And this victory breath is popular in both the hatha of Vinyasa yoga systems because it adds a steadiness, a calmness to your practice, and forces you to become more centered. So how does this tie into emotional intelligence? Well, the victory breath alone, without the positioning of the arms, can be used to calm your nerves if you're agitated, jittery, stressed, or nervous. The slow, rhythmic nature of the victory breath results in a soothing and relaxing effect rather quickly. And there's a lot of physiological reasons that are behind this we'll go through later in a future video. But for now, I just want you to see the very basics of what's going on. And here shortly, so this is just me relaxing in between the different stages. So in step 2 of the 3-stage pranayama, like I said, the 3-stage and the steps have nothing to do with each other. It's just different parts of it. And so now I'm relaxing, preparing for the next step. And here shortly. All right, so now we're in the 3rd step of the 3-stage pranayama with the elbow straight up, or as straight up as we can make it depending on our flexibility. And this is meant to aid in pulling the air into the upper lobes of the lungs. Remember before, hands were down by the waist, so we're more focused on the lower portion of the lung. And then we brought our arms up to the hands up to the armpit with the elbows up to open up the middle lobes of the lungs. And now our arms are straight back in an effort to open up the upper portion of the lungs. And by making the victory breath or ocean breath, we are constricting our throat. And doing so forces the lungs to expand even more to pull in the same amount of oxygen and to contract more to complete the exhalation. The end result is an increase in your lung capacity and a more efficient transfer of oxygen into the bloodstream. The slow, controlled breathing triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, and the vibration in your larynx causes a small vibration in your vagus nerve, thus creating a calming effect in the body. Additionally, the gentle pressure from the breathing on the carotid sinuses reduces tension and slows the thought process. The end result is more oxygen in the body, less stress in the body, and fewer thoughts in the mind. And now I'm relaxing since I just finished the 3-stage pranayama. And next we'll be going to going into Bastrika, which is a vigorous breath or bellows breath. Starting here momentarily. Okay, and this is where your hands up or by your shoulders, and we're going to go straight up and straight back down while exhaling and inhaling very forcefully through our nose. And Bastrika is a Sanskrit word that means bellows, and you can see in the graph where we transition from the right brain back to the left brain, and that's what you're seeing up in here. And this is because we're doing more physical things with the moving of the arms and the forced breathing. The benefit of the forced breathing is that it cleanses the nasal passages, so if make sure you have some tissues available, you will be potentially blowing some bodily fluids out, while also directing you to stay in the moment. And like the other breathing methods, it also oxygenates the blood, reduces anxiety, and reduces stress. Because of this breathing method, you have to stay in the moment, which helps to clear away any unwanted thoughts even more. Okay, and then we're going to jump ahead to the final stage, which is, like I said, in the slow breathing, medium, and then excited. And this is the actual Sudarshan Kriya breathing. And it's hard to tell right now, but at the moment I'm taking a very slow, methodical breath, and that's what Sudarshan Kriya is. Slow, medium, and fast rhythmic breathing. Sudarshan Kriya is Sanskrit for proper vision by purifying action. So practitioners of this method were found to have a higher beta activity in the midline region of the brain, which you can clearly see on my graphs here. There's a lot more activity in the midline. And I'll add that graph over here to the right so you can see it more clearly. And by having that extra beta activity in the midline of the brain, this results in greater mental alertness, even more so than professions, such as physicians and medical researchers whose profession requires them to have the daily use of these same skills. Practitioners of Sudarshan Kriya were found to have even more beta activity in the midline region of the brain. And as can be seen from the graph, our gamma is shifting very firmly into the right hemisphere, more in the southeastern portion of the brain. That's what you're seeing there. But it went from the very beginning, which was our 3-stage pranayama, dropped down when we started doing Bastrika, and now that we're slowly going into Sudarshan Kriya, in this next stage, it's going to go very quickly into the right region of the brain, and all throughout Sudarshan Kriya, and then it's going to drop off again to where when we start doing our standard meditation, but we're still going to stay in the right hemisphere of the brain. And this is a very rapid breathing approach that I mentioned. So the beginning of Sudarshan Kriya is very slow and rhythmic, then it goes into a medium, and then it's a very rapid, almost inhalation, exhalation immediately. And all of this is meant to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system back to that fight or flight response. And so by doing the rapid breathing, it's almost like you're creating that panic effect, and then you slow it back down to calm. And by doing that back and forth, you're effectively training your brain even more so that you're in charge, that there's nothing to be afraid of, that everything's under control. Then, of course, we're going to jump forward a little bit further on to where we get into the meditation portion. That's happening here. So now the breathing techniques are over. We are now moving very smoothly into the meditation phase, which is the same approach I've used before. With Sudarshan Kriya, generally they're starting from the toes and working their way through the head, but I just stick, and they even recommend you can just stick with your normal meditation practice. So for me, my practice, I go from my head down to my toes. Effectively the same thing, so to each their own. The idea in both cases is to focus on a body part, then your breathing, and then simply just to relax and just be, just to exist in the moment. And this is where we end it. So as you can see, this is a great tool to use in conjunction with your standard meditation practice to elevate your mindfulness practices to a completely different level than, for great things doing great things for your body. Remember, James Nestor, author of Breath, researched and practiced many different breathing techniques. So he actually lived through these different techniques over weeks and weeks of research. And he found sky breathing meditation to be one of the, if not the most powerful technique out of all the ones that he researched. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. As I continue to develop my own practice, I'll be sure to upload more like this in the future. The article discussing all aspects of sky breathing meditation will be in the links down below. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification button so you're alerted when I release new content. And as always, I hope your day gets better and better. Let's focus on making that happen sooner rather than later.